Hey guys, welcome back to Max Talk. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do the follow-up to the individual Breaking Contact movie that was the last one I put out. And this one is going to be the individual in the assault. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my best go to demonstrate how you may follow, assault procedures through a scenario that I've got going on here to actually assault onto the enemy position. And my point is that as an individual, you can give it your best, but you're missing out on the fundamentals of fire and movement. So I don't even have a buddy pair to help me. If I had another buddy, or I had, there were a team of 4, we could really get this going using the basic fundamentals of fire and movement. And we can't do that as an individual. It doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to be unsuccessful. It depends whether I get hit, what the odds are, how good the enemy is, as to whether I'm actually going to be successful maneuvering on that enemy position. Now, what you guys got to understand is that this is a scenario that I've created, and it's within limitations. So I've got this kind of live fire range or lane that I'm using up here, the same lane that I used yesterday. And I got the enemy positions in the same place. There's 4 stick-in-Ivan targets. So what I'm going to do is, in this vicinity here, I'm going to simulate coming under contact. Now, nobody's actually firing live rounds at me today, so I'm not going to die, hopefully. Okay? So I'm going to conduct my RTR drill, try and get off the immediate X, and get into some better cover. But within limitations of this range. I'm then going to try and suppress the enemy. So there is a chance that if I'm not hit in the initial exchange, and I can get accurate fire back at the enemy, then I may actually begin to suppress the enemy. And if I can do that, and I can suppress the enemy, that will allow me to maneuver on them within the confines of this range and bound up towards the enemy position. I'm only going to get up to the enemy position if I can keep it suppressed. Once I get up there, if I get close enough and I got the enemy suppressed, then I might actually be able to assault onto the enemy position. And that's going to give me a chance. So what's important, the perspective here, is that these drills are happening within a scenario, and they're designed to show you that you can operate as an individual, but it's not as optimal as operating with a team, because you're lacking on the fundamentals of fire and movement, and after all, there is only one of you. It would be similar in a team if the team didn't understand fire and movement. I mean, even if a bunch of people weren't trained and couldn't understand fire and movement, they may equally fall foul just as an individual would. So, understanding the limitations of the scenario and the drill and the demonstration that's being given is important. This is not a sort of a lecture on avoidance, patrolling techniques. It's just, what happens if you were to try and do this as an individual. Break contact or assault. And it's very much hubris to say that whatever your sort of, fantasy plan is as a lone wolf, that you will never have to break contact, or you will never be faced with the option of assaulting or breaking contact. Because you can't control everything. And who's to say that you won't come under contact and have to deal with it? It's crazy to sort of deny that. When I do these lanes, I'm not throwing the lanes. I'm a trained soldier. It's not my first rodeo. So I'm doing my best job at this. So nothing's to say that when I say, how the lone wolf will die, it doesn't necessarily mean that, I'm not doing a good job at these lanes. I'm giving it my best shot. And who's to say whether it would work or it wouldn't work? But the point being, it's not the optimal plan. It's not the optimal solution, and that's the point I'm trying to get across here, while showing some basic individual movement techniques. Can't really be called fire movement, individual IMT, individual movement techniques. So yesterday, I showed the break contact. So the way I ran that on this lane was I patrolled up and I got really close to the enemy, and the scenario was that, it was sort of, they were eating lunch or whatever. It was a surprise engagement which gave me a little bit of chance to get some initiative on them and then overwhelm them and then break contact back. So you could argue, you could say, well, you were that close, why didn't you just jump in amongst them and sort of, waste them all? Well, that wasn't the scenario. But yeah, Maybe, and it would have been easier to break contact if I'd been contacted at further range, maybe with a terrain feature where I could have just slipped back over it. So of course, you know, this is a demonstration of techniques and not necessarily, you know, best tactical sort of, you know, best tactical situations. So today, for example, we're going to be, to use the range, I'm going to be contacted back here, and then I'm going to fight pretty much straight up the range towards the enemy position. That's basically the scenario. Hope that makes sense. Let's go give it a go. Alright guys, there you have it. A little hot and humid out here, so that's my one take. Feel free to discuss it in comments. Would I have survived in that situation? If I didn't die in the first exchange of fire, would I have won? Let's talk about it. See you next time. Thanks.